So welcome everyone, good to see you. Now, as some of you might know already, this week's topic is humility and the benefits of it. And so today we will explore humility a little bit as a gateway to deeper insight, a deeper knowledge that arises in meditation. So humility is a state of openness, first of all. It's a state of being receptive, so like a listening state. It's not a state that has conceit, that feels, I know what I do, I know who I am, but rather is a questioning state. You can say it's open to what we yet do not know. So it's a state that invites learning, you can say. Like open space. You don't come into a room feeling that you know. If you're humble, if you have humility, you come into a room open to what is. So a state that really invites humility, or that is very much based on humility, is presence. If you can be with yourself or with other people, just in an open knowing state, just receiving yourself and others with honesty, sincerity, just knowing what is as it is. That invites learning, all by itself. So this is how I would say that humility invites a process of growth, of inner growth. When we feel that we know something, in that very moment we're blocked. We exclude all the other possibilities. For example, if we deem something to be good or bad, in that moment our perspective is very limited, because things change. What is good today might not be good tomorrow. Your favorite food, for example, if you keep eating it, it goes from good to bad. The longer you eat, the worse it gets. The more you put into your mouth, the worse it gets. In the beginning it's nice, but it doesn't stay nice. It doesn't get nicer the more you eat. The same is true for a massage. The same is true for your posture right now. Everything is a constant state of flux, of change. It's always moving, progressing. So if we fix something, we say it is either good or it is bad, then we make it not the way it is mentally. And thus often we are suffering, unnecessarily so. Looking at other people, feeling, for example, oh, that person is either a fool or that person is very clever, that judgment takes all the other aspects and facets of that person out of the picture. Now we just see that one facet, and we're focusing on that one facet, coming out of that one mood that we're having right now. That is kind of the opposite of humility, judging other people. Feeling, I know who you are, that kind of sense. I know who that guy is. We do that quite a lot, right? We're looking at other people very often, seeing what they seemingly are, how they are like. When in reality, actually, a humbling fact is that we can only ever see ourselves mirrored in the other person. We never really see the other person. We see the other person as we see it, not as that other person actually is. And we see the other person as we see that other person right there in this very moment. Not as that other person always is. I remember one time I was getting really angry at someone in the monastery, other student, and I complained about that person in front of my teacher. I said, wow, this is so silly to do. Why does she always do that? And I said something like, she's very stupid, or something like that. And my teacher said, he didn't even correct me. He said, oh, don't judge. He said, she appears very stupid. And it totally turned it back onto myself. Because where does stupidity appear if not in a mind primed to see stupidity? If you wear yellow glasses, you see a yellow world. If you complain about the world being yellow, is that the fault of the world? Or is it the fault of your glasses? If you feel surrounded by incompetent fools, then is that because you're surrounded by actual incompetent fools? Or is it because that's the way you have learned to see other people and judge other people as? See, it's the opposite of humility. It's not open, it creates a picture, an image, it creates a solidity, a seeming apparent solidity, and then superimposes it onto the world, thinking that this is the truth. I know that this person is incompetent. There's more than enough proof. And of course, these are all the things that I see with my yellow glasses, confirming the incompetence, because that's what I focus on. It's obviously one of my topics, it's one of my issues. And then I project. And we all tend to do that continuously. We project things upon ourselves, upon other people. And it creates this illusion of knowing things. Knowing how others are, knowing how the world is, knowing how things are. And then this leads to all kinds of harmful actions. We're arguing with friends, family members about political views, simple opinions. It splits families apart because of thoughts. Because of the idea that my thoughts are the right thoughts. And we do that in groups too. My religion is the right religion, it's the only religion. My opinions are the right opinions. Let me show you that you're wrong. I can show you that you're wrong. Let me show you your wrongness. The opposite of humility. It comes from an incredible state of pride, of self-centeredness. It doesn't allow for other opinions to exist. That's why we fight with each other. That's why we go to wars. We don't allow other human beings to exist as they are. We want to fix them, criticize them, change them. Not only other beings, ourselves, and the entire world around us. Our mind is mostly busy trying to somehow fix the world, fixing things outside ourselves, opposite of humility. We're not seeing ourselves. So that mind is then constantly engaged in somehow trying to find a way of arranging the world in such a way that I don't have to suffer the world. Let me make the world good so that I don't have to suffer it. And of course, I know how to make the world a better place. Let me teach you how to make the world a better place. Is that humility? Would that make the world a better place? No, it would not. Who am I to teach you how to make the world a better place? Who am I to teach you how to be happy? Who am I to teach you? What do I really know? What do you really know? It's a good question to ask ourselves. What do I really know? And where does all my knowledge come from? It comes from books, videos, other people, doesn't it? Did I wrote this book? Did I write it? No, I didn't. Someone else wrote it, so I can read it. Who taught me how to meditate? Myself? No. My teacher did. It's really important not to forget that. Who puts food on your table? Who cooked for you today? And you say, of course, I pay for that food. Well, who gave you money by the end of the month? Who employed you, if you're employed? And, oh, no, I'm not employed, I have my own company. Well, thank you for your customers. Without them, who would you be? What is it in your life that you're enjoying that comes out of yourself? From your own power. Independent from other people, other beings. Like if you come home and you have a cat in your house, gives you joy. Makes you relaxed. It's nice to see a cat. No cat, you're not feeling nice. So thanks to the cat, you feel nice. So many things in our life come through others. This is really important to remember. Keep that in mind. If we forget, and this is one of the first reflections, all the knowledge that I have, all the things that I think I know, where does it come from? Your success, your well-being, your good health, your happiness, your joy. It comes from other people appreciating you, accommodating you, opening the door when you come back home, saying good night, giving you a kiss. Many things, right? That make you happy, coming from other people. Who picks you up when you're down? Yourself. And maybe you have learned to pick up yourself when you're down. Where have you learned it? Maybe from a self-help book. Maybe you watched a video on YouTube that picked you up. I do that very often. When I'm feeling down, I listen to such talks. It picks me up. So to be thankful for what you are experiencing currently in your life, the pleasures that you're experiencing, recognizing that they do not come from your own power alone. But the majority of it comes through other beings. Doesn't it? And most of the time, what are my thoughts about? If I look at my mind and my thoughts, they're all about me. The whole thought show in my mind, in my head, it's all about me the whole day long. It's not really about others, and if it is about others, then it's always in relation to the more important me. What do others do to me? Like that. So it's about others, but not really. Still about me. How can I get others to do what I want them to do so that I can be happy? I must put them right. I must show them how it's done. And so these kind of thoughts, constantly about, you have to see for yourself, right? This is, you got to have a look into your own mind. What's most of your thought content about? What is it centered on? It's probably all about me. Your story, the story of your life, story of my life. Me trying to make it somehow. And so we forget that there are others too. And they also try to make it. And just like myself, they try to be happy. You're all trying to be happy. You're changing your posture for that same reason. You don't want to suffer. Just like myself. See, we have a lot in common. That leads towards humility. Seeing separation, look, I'm more clever than you. I'm smarter than you. All of you together, I'm way smarter than all of you together, that creates a split, doesn't it? It creates separation. But seeing what unites us, namely that you guys want to be happy, hey, we have that in common, it creates connection. That's one of the qualities of humility. It creates connection. And through that, an insight and learning, a growth and understanding. No humility to say, my religion is the best, my meditation techniques are the best. I create separation and conflict and misunderstanding. Certainly not growth. I become limited to just one meditation technique right there. And I become limited to the degree that I think that I am right in that. That's a great limitation there. I'm stuck right there. Not flexible anymore, not open, not learning anymore, but locked. I'm right. And many people, when they're very locked in their views and their opinions, they do all kinds of funny things to keep them alive, even though if they're shattering in front of their own eyes. Sometimes you have these kind of things like in countries like Asia or Thailand, where the face is very important. You have keeping your face, right? Even you make a mistake, and it's even obvious that you made that mistake, and someone is pointing it out that you stubbornly keep your position, not to lose the face. This kind of, but we all do that, right? If someone points out your mistakes, it says, hey, you're doing something wrong. The first attitude always is an attitude of, no, I'm not doing anything wrong ever. How dare you think that? Me wrong? Opposite of humility. Might it be the case that you might be wrong? Maybe. Just an idea. Maybe you're wrong in what you're thinking, in thinking that the other person is stupid or the other person is unreliable, or that the guy who just cut you off is an asshole. Is that true? Is that so? Maybe not. Maybe you're not right there. Maybe his wife is dying in the hospital. How do we know? How do we know another person? Before we can judge another person, how do we know what's really going on in their life? Why do they do what they do? What has shaped them into doing what they do? That requires understanding. Very basic understanding. I don't want to suffer. And I'm quite sure you don't want to suffer either. And you try your best, just like myself, not to suffer. We all try our best. We all have that in common. Does your technique work better than someone else's technique? How do you know? Where do we take that certainty from? Then another reflection that invites insight and humility is just how big this universe really is. And in that universe, just how big you really are. I mean, literally, how big are you? Think of the size of an atom. How big are you in comparison? How many atoms just alone in your eye? Billions. How many cells are at work in your body right now, doing their job? And if they wouldn't, you'd be in trouble. How about your nervous system? How intricate is it? Just these fine, thin nerves just doing their job properly. If one of them breaks, you're in big trouble. Your seeing might fail you. The ability to swallow might suddenly be gone. Just a tiny change in our bodies. Billions and billions of living beings inside of your body doing their job, keeping you alive and healthy. You are a universe in itself. You're an entire world, an entire ecosystem. There's rivers, there's lakes, there's mountains. All these things to be found in your body. Just use a microscope, have a look. And then how big is the universe around you? It appears to be quite infinite. Both if you go into the microcosm or in the macrocosm. The dimensions of time are mind-blowing. I invite you all, go online on YouTube and have a few looks at videos describing the universe a bit and its size. And then contemplate on your own size in comparison. And then ask yourself, well, what does that do to you? It's a totally different perspective, isn't it? Happens to people that leave the Earth, that go into the orbit and look onto planet Earth. There's this famous saying of one guy who went up there. He said, I don't see any borders, is what impressed this guy who traveled up. It impressed him that he didn't see any borders. So where do borders really exist then? Where did they take birth? Where does the idea of a border take birth? Does it not take birth in a fearful mind? In a mind that is completely absorbed in possessing something? Fear of losing something? So does that lead in any healthy way? Does that help us to be more connected, more kind, and cultivate those qualities that we all desperately need? So what I do is, first of all, I cultivate where does my knowledge come from? All the things I feel so certain about, where do they come from? All of a sudden I don't feel so certain anymore. Then I contemplate size. Second thing, right? How big am I? How big are my problems? And I zoom out, I see planet Earth, I zoom out further, I see our solar system, our galaxy, and I zoom out more and more and more mentally. Now where am I in this vastness? Suddenly it doesn't really feel that important anymore, that heavy, that much suffering anymore. It's much more light now. It's a change of perspective. And these two things alone are very powerful contemplations. Now think of the universe as something that is unlimited in size. Infinite. So what does that then mean about my knowledge? And what does it mean about my ignorance? The things that we don't know only in our ocean is, I think, like 80 or 95% or something like this, have not been explored in our oceans alone. We haven't been there, we haven't seen it. Now what about the rest of the universe? What do we really know? Scientists are busy every day, day in and day out, trying to figure things out, constantly adapting, evolving. It's not that we have to figure out one thing one time and then that's that for the rest of time. It constantly changes. Knowledge is vast. The objects that could be known are vast. And that's just about outer space. How about inner space? How about yourself? That's the fourth reflection. We hardly know ourselves. It scares us sometimes to sit down quietly and look in. It scares us what we see sometimes. So we don't really want to sit. We become nervous, we have other things to do, suddenly emails become more important and we just want to get out and do something else. So sitting meditation takes guts. You need to dare to look at yourself in some ways. This is taking responsibility to see, oh, here's how I suffer. This is something unpleasant to see. And it makes you humble. It humbles you to see how much you suffer. And we wouldn't see how much we suffer if we wouldn't stop every now and then and watch. Unless we're constantly in some sort of distraction mode, running around, always doing something, always getting somewhere, always involved with stuff. Doesn't give you a break. So you never really see what makes you run so much, which is simply pain. The feeling of, no, I'm incomplete and I need to add on something to myself so I'm more complete. And we all do it. Constantly running, constantly trying, struggling. Life appears as a thing that we need to do. How funny is that? Is life a thing to be done? Is life a doing? Are you doing life? That sounds funny, doesn't it? It's my life. I'm doing it. I'm successfully doing life. It's funny. Life is way too vast for a little ego to be doing it. And if ego tries to do it, it usually messes things up. It creates stress, lack of health and well-being, conflicts, pollution, tension, because it tries to do something that it's not really designed to do. Running a life, running the show, my life story, right? It's mainly about the story, because life is here and now. How can you do it? That is humbling to see this. Oh, I'm not doing anything. I'm not even doing my mind. My mind is doing me. And you see that when you do meditation, right? You sit down, close your eyes, and you see, whoa, I'm not in control at all. My mind is doing me all the time. That is humbling, because all of a sudden you understand it's not just when you meditate, it's all the time. And it's that mind which is completely out of control that runs the whole show that you call life. Seeing that is humbling. It creates humility. It's a bit of a shock sometimes. I call it the first big insight. Usually expressed as, what a mess. It's the first thing you get to know if you're serious about meditation. Wow. Many people, they feel like the more they meditate, in the beginning, for beginners, like they do some meditation 1 week, they're very enthusiastic about the practice. After the week, they come and say, oh, I feel I'm getting more distracted. Am I doing something wrong? No, your eyes start to open up. You see the mess that others never see their entire lifetime long. You see what runs the show. It's a bit shocking. There's a voice in your head constantly talking to itself. Is there not? How about the meditation we just did? Was there not a voice in your head constantly talking about stuff? Focus. It's a meditation. It's good. It feels good. It feels good, right? We can do this more often. Yeah, that would be great. Maybe I should do this in the morning. I don't know, in the morning, I might not be able to get up, but should I get up early? I mean, is it necessary to get up early when I meditate? Back to the breath. Yeah, but back to the question. And so you sit there actually looking like a Buddha, very peaceful and calm, but inside is just talking to yourself. This is humbling if you see this. And we all do it. This is connecting. And you see that. You see, like, wow, we all have a voice in our head that tells us who we are. It tells us who we are supposed to be. And it constantly guides you along that storyline. And where does that voice come from? Well, it comes from your past. All the conditions. Parenting, childhood, media, all that kind of stuff. All the things you consumed ever in your entire life form the voice in your head. And the voice in your head might serve you, might be a very motivating, friendly voice. Lucky you. For most people, that's not the case. It's a very competitive voice that constantly is afraid of, what are others thinking of me? Am I really loved? It's always uncertain whether it's loved by others or not, so it tries really, really hard to get love from others, using all kinds of technological tools to achieve that. Think of the selfie. What is it other than a cry for love? We all want to be seen, to be heard, to be appreciated, to be respected. All of us. And that has to start within ourselves. And so meditation is that first act. You sit down and you start to see yourself, to appreciate yourself, to respect yourself. First step, being kind to yourself. Understanding, oh yeah, that's a mess. But that's okay. Now I'm starting to clean up the mess. Helping myself to feel better in there. And right now, my mind is a hoarder's house. It's full of garbage and stuff. So, this is humbling. Seeing just how much I suffer every day is humbling. Your phone ringing in a meditation class is humbling. That's all right. So using that example, right, you want to look good. You want to look in a meditation class. It just happened to me just before, just an hour ago. I was giving a teaching and my phone went off. Usually never goes off during class or anything, but it just went off in the background. So how did I feel? Humbled. I'm not perfect. It put me down from my high horse for a little moment there. Oh, I'm just like everyone else. Like this. Because I like to look down on people with their phones. Always with their phones. Until someone points that out, like usually Pan, my wife, she points that out to me. It's like, Tobi, why are you using your phone so much? I'm like, oh, no, I'm not. Yeah, maybe she's right though. And maybe it hurts to admit that occasionally I use it too much. What an opportunity for growth and learning, isn't it? I just only have to recognize it and then be sincere about it. Gives me an opportunity for growth. I'm not a big fan of portraying perfection or encouraging perfection in any way. I think meditation, if at all anything, it should be grounding. Connecting you with your humanity rather than making you a god amongst human beings. Like walking the earth on feet of light, looking down on all these poor creatures being lost in their crazy minds. Except for me, of course. Big ego. Not necessarily so good. If it is kindness, though, it's another story. If your kindness is very powerful, your compassion is very powerful, then wonderful, let it shine. But these qualities are not about ego. It's not about me being superior. It's me being super connected. To the point where that me becomes very thin. That's why people who are kind usually have a lot of happiness. There's not so much me there. They enjoy themselves a lot. And people who are bitter and angry, they suffer a lot. The opposite of kindness. Because there's a lot of me there. isn't there? When we are angry, there's a lot of me. It's almost like a balloon when you're angry. The water of good qualities doesn't stay on a balloon. You have to become open like a cup. That's humility. And so the water of good qualities, it can stay inside of you. It can be accumulated there. If we are inflated, not so good. So what is humility? It's the opposite of inflation. It's being put into your real place. It's all about being sincere, seeing yourself honestly as you actually are. Isn't that meditation? You sit down and you watch. So how is it? There's no escape. You're having a conversation with your significant other, and she pushes your buttons, tick, 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 and you just get really angry, right? But on the outside, you keep your face and you keep your cool, and you're like, no, I'm a meditator, I'm not angry. But inside, different. Very different. Pan is lovely. She constantly points that out. I try my best to pretend that I'm not angry. But she's always like, you're angry, right? Why are you angry? Are you angry? Does that make you angry? It's wonderful. This is great in relationships. It's an opportunity. Wonderful. Let your wife, let your husband humble you. Let them point out your flaws and mistakes. Great opportunity for growth and learning. If you can only accept, but for that you have to kind of let go of your ego for a little moment. And if they're not right, still it's a good opportunity to learn how to relax. It's a good opportunity to learn how to listen. Pay respect and attention to another being. That requires you to step aside, actually. Some very good counselors, they do that. They step aside. It's not about them. It's about you. Imagine you're talking with someone, and for them it's genuinely, sincerely all about you. That's wonderfully liberating. Talk with a person like that, that's genuinely interested in you, that appreciates you for who you are. You immediately feel safe, vulnerable. It's fine to be vulnerable with such people. It's wonderful. You can be totally yourself. You don't have to fear to be judged. I've heard of this example given. The more you progress on your path of practice, the less spikes you have. A person that has not practiced, they're not trained their mind, there's a lot of spikes going out into the world. They don't let you come close. These are spikes of fear. Here's a me, there's the world, and I need to constantly make sure that I am accepted in this world. And I need to have boundaries in this world. And so the more you practice meditation, less spikes you have. And so this is a funny description, actually. As somebody that has attained complete enlightenment, complete absence of stress, there's no spikes. And you feel that around people like this. You can be fully yourself. You can let down your guard. It's so nice. It's like coming home. You don't have to pretend. And it's humbling sometimes to see just how much we pretend. How many of the roles we play every day are just that. They are roles that we have learned to play. Some of the roles are beneficial, more or less. Some are harmful. But we're all very good actors. Right now we're acting. We're playing a role. We're here in this room, all like doing this meditation thing now, playing this meditation gathering role. And each one individually playing their own role, being here in the room. The way you feel right now, the way you think, who you think you are right now, it's a role. It's a perfected role. It's become second nature. Almost feels like it's really you. And it's sometimes humbling to see just how much we carry constantly. That's why it's nice to have your best friend. You can come into their space and just be yourself. That's why it's your best friend. You can do what you do when you're alone. There is where the public me and the private me can unite. Ah, so nice. Can just be myself. Whereas when you're in public space, you're carrying that heavy role. And it's stressful, it's taxing, it costs energy to play these mental games constantly. But if you can see your humanity, you can see that we're all same on the most basic level, you can relax in any situation with any other human being. You can forgive, you can be kind, you can connect. Easy. All it takes is having a good look at yourself, seeing we're all doing the same essentially. Then we can relax. We can be authentic, well aligned. These are all the learning benefits, the growth benefits of humility. First, see yourself. See, do I suffer? That's an opportunity for growth. Let go right there. Letting go. Relaxing. Growing. Learning. Quite naturally. Yeah. So allow yourself to be humbled by other people. By life, by the universe, by your thoughts, by your emotions, by your feelings. Let them in. And see where they take you. See what they reveal inside of you. And I think it's very important to have that honesty when you're on a spiritual path. It's not about fabricating a spiritual persona. Here's the hippie Tobi, and I'm very floaty, and I'm very happy all the time. It's not about that. I have that special jargon, always using fancy words. Let's enter consciousness. I have no idea what that means, but it sounds really cool. So let that aside and just notice, okay, here's something I don't know, and that's good. Give space for more knowledge. If we pretend that we know, that space is already blocked. So that's why I say it's a gateway. That concludes the topic for today. That humility is a gateway for insight to arise. Okay, any questions?